not to sort of judge us on and play the emotional strings here, but just the money in, money out issue, whether we can afford to do this, even if you want to do it. And then if everyone is on board doing it, and this is what, Democratic mayor is going to find out, Gavin Newsom, who he wants to be governor. He thinks that's a popular cause. Will everybody agree with that and pay for that? The question, will they pay for it? Former Chief of Staff to Senator Mike Lee. We've got Boyd Matheson, Democratic strategist Howard Franklin. Boyd, that's my only point here. There's no denying that it's a compassionate thing to do, a compassionate thing to consider. I take nothing away from her and others who espouse this for whatever reason. They are illegals, but I'll leave that out of it. Now, one of the issues I raised, though, where is the compassion for the American taxpayer, in this case for the California taxpayer, who has to foot the bill?
Yeah, and it's true. You actually hit the right thing there, Neil, that you can do this in a way that is compassionate. It is who we are as the American people. But it is, how do you pay for it? And what's the right process for that? And what about the hardworking men and women of America that suddenly are being burdened with so many more things? But it's part of where we're really going wrong in terms of our politics. It's easy to run as a socialist and a lot of giveaways and things like that in the spring or the summer. It's very difficult to win on that in the fall. And I think that's where we're going to see a lot of things get to, is ultimately for those people who are paying the bill, a lot of this isn't going to ring true to them in the end. And that's where I think the midterms are really going to fall, is what's the reality? What are the hardworking people of the country really going to come down and say, hey, that sounds great, but I think either I'm paying that for that, or my kids are paying that, or my grandkids are paying for it, and that's going to be the problem.
I think what happens, Howard, and I see, this happens on the other side, too. The Republicans who want to boost the military come up with no way to pay for that, and so we have $1 trillion deficit. So a pox on both houses. I want to put that out there because I'm the math guy.
Definitely.
I'm the green guy. It's not a red or blue thing to me. It's just follow the money. And when people are pulled to the subject, you want to do this, you want to pay for kids' college education, do you want to forgive their debt, do you want to provide relief to those who are in duress, on their mortgages, what have you, invariably you got overwhelming numbers that says yes, yes, yes. When they're asked separately, do you want to kick in some dough for that? No, 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 no. It's a very different thing. So it's one thing to propose this stuff. It's another to propose means by which you pay for this stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. But obviously unfunded mandates are as old as this country itself. And there are plenty of things. I think Democrats who are running on midterm tickets in November are really looking to underscore the fact that we have choices to make. It's not a question of either or. I think it's really about setting priorities and also acknowledging that 6-7 years ago, President Obama rescued us from the worst recession in modern history, and many state agencies have been filling their coffers, building strong surpluses over the last 5 or 6 years. And so it's not a question of, not being, or of taxing or new taxes for a certain subset of the population. I think you'd be the first to recognize that California still has a lot of debt on a per capita basis. California, sure, absolutely.
And a lot of businesses are running away. There's a reason for that. I'm sure news like this would not entice them to stay. They might be saddled with that. But leaving that just aside, but I'm wondering how Republicans answer it without looking heartless, because invariably, and I got it myself, emails saying, oh, you don't care about people, et cetera, et cetera. My point is, I care about everybody and the means by which we can take care of those who are legally here and the bills they pay to take care of those who technically shouldn't even be here. And then it gets to a slippery slope of Republicans are indifferent, the conservatives are callous to the needs of people, and then the argument goes away. Nothing is
I think
done.
it's difficult to be, I think it's really difficult to both advocate for a border wall for billions of dollars on the one hand, and then say you can't pay for social services or extending services to undocumented immigrants in California on the other. And I think, again, it comes down to a question of priorities.
One wants to get a handle. I'm not, saying a border wall is the answer, but one wants to control the onslaught of illegals who can slip in here, and the other is rewarding them once they do.
Well, and I think,
No,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, Neil, I think you can look at these things in a way that is compassionate. That is the core of everything. And I'm going to join you in the equal opportunity offender category that, yes, we do need both sides of the aisle to look at things, whether it's military spending or whether it's border security and whether it's, some of these benefits to illegals. All of those things need to be on the table because we need to have a very different kind of conversation in the country. And I think we all can agree that what we have to get to is the people who aren't really thrilled with President Trump, but they don't think Hillary would have been any better either. It's the disengaged that we've got to get to, and things like these, the strident voices on the far left and the far right, the angry voices, the frustrated voices, they're causing more and more people to disengage, and that's the big worry. The center left and the center right are where we can solve a lot of these issues and get down, as you said, Neil, to the green issues, the economy, and people recognize, the American people know our politics has failed, but America won't. And the reason it won't is because of the people who are out there today raising their family, working their job, making a difference in their community. I happen to live in a great place where we have a thriving economy, free market principles, and we have strong civil society where communities and neighborhoods rally and where businesses are involved in the community and making a difference. And everything else kind of gets to the distraction point. We have to come back to this is who we are.
I want to give you a final word on this because I think it doesn't do anyone any good, particularly any candidate from any party who makes a ton of promises and does not really specify how he or she will pay for them. So it's all good, for the mayor now running for governor, Gavin Newsom, to say, look, I want to do this, this, and this, and point to San Francisco as an example where he did, and not point out that this was a cost borne by businesses leaving his city and rich individuals now being taxed to death in that city. And not everyone was bearing that cost, and now he wants to bring it statewide. He should have a plan. He should spell it out how he would pay for it. And this applies to a lot of these other goals. Then bounce it off. If people want to sign on to that, then that's their right, their vote, and their choice.
Well, Mario Cuomo said that we campaign in poetry but govern in prose. Obviously, Mayor Newsom is seeing the zeitgeist in 2018, seeing that the party's been pulled further to the left, and is obviously looking to offer greater and more progressive policies to the folks who are going to decide this election come November.
Do you agree with that approach? Do you think that approach risks being a little disingenuous?
I think it definitely risks being disingenuous. I don't know if that's the question, right? Obviously, the man can do math. I think it really is a question of recalibrating priorities and figuring out how much you can actually make good on of the promises you're making in the lead up to the actual campaign or the election.
All right, gentlemen, we'll watch it very, very closely here. Again, if we could just keep this away from all the emotional issues back and forth. Yeah. We're not tugging on heartstrings here. We're just looking at money and how we can commit to the things that are passionate and we deeply feel about. But you're not calling one side naive any more than you're calling the other side heartless. Let's sit down, let's get around a couple of calculators, a spreadsheet, and see what we can make happen. And then see what we can make a financial reality. Promises cost money. So, show me the money.